Hi, welcome to Just Koryzma. I'm your host, Braden Koryzma, and a special guest with me today, Malcolm Beaton.
Hello.
So, what's going on with you, man?
Not too much. Just been going to school. Done a weird amount of traveling recently, considering I'm the type of guy who just doesn't like leaving home or my bedroom for the most part.
Okay.
We just had our kind of spring break, reading break for university at VIU. So me and a couple buddies went down to Seattle and Portland for the week, and it was awesome. We saw a couple concerts and went to an art museum and the zoo, and I got back and Friday, so a couple nights ago, I went down to Victoria for another show and ended up taking probably one too many feet to the face during the mosh pit.
Oh no.
Now I feel like I'm talking funny because my nose kind of still hurts a little bit, but I'm like, yeah, oh well.
Brutal.
All part of the live excitement, I guess, of those kind of shows.
True.
Which was a pretty fun time, and it was a band called On Call Heroes, which they stopped being a band or went on hiatus, I guess, for a couple of years, and they're like local pop punk legends.
Okay, yeah.
And they had a lot of momentum going for a long time, and then they decided to stop doing their thing, and
Right.
they became adults, and so they had like a 10-year reunion show, and it was just nuts. Like the venue was packed, and everyone was singing along and dancing, and like it just got really rowdy really quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's good to see, like, that there's a lot of people that still like to listen to their music.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing about, like, I hear it all the time, because I spend too much time reading and listening to music, people talk, and doing all my little research on bands I really like, and hearing stories about bands that go on hiatus for years and then come back and, like, still have, like, sold out shows on their tours, and they're just like, how is this happening? And then for that to happen to, like, a local band like that and be part of that and watch that, it's like, all right, so maybe the idea of being a local band solely isn't, like, the worst thing in the world.
Right.
Which gives a lot of ambition to a lot of young musicians in the area, which is really cool, because it kind of shows that you can be successful without having to ever really leave Vancouver Island,
It's true.
which a lot of people in the music scene here kind of are a little back and forth about, but yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like, a lot of people probably feel like if they don't take a risk and go somewhere that's more populated or, like, there's more potential to be seen,
Yeah.
that they will, they'll never shine, or they'll never get to where they want to be. But, I mean, really, if you take the right steps, wherever you are, you can definitely succeed.
Yeah, totally. And I think that applies to just about anything that's not traditional work anymore.
Literally.
Like, all, like, this whole, like, and I know you're familiar with, like Kind of Funny and, like, the Rooster Teeth guys. Like, I watch a lot of that stuff, and that's another kind of story of, like, this company and these little guys who just took that first step at the right time or at a time and kind of took off from there, and that's what I want to do at some point is I think the tough part is just figuring out that first step into
In the direction you want to go.
yeah, and also figuring out the direction you want to go is a pretty tough one too.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but, like, leaving high school, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but, like, I never, like, was, like, 100% for it.
Yeah.
And even today, like, I'm doing what I went to school for, and I enjoy it and I like it, but I don't. There's always something else that I'd rather. It's almost like there's, like, almost, it's like a dream. Like, you still want to chase it.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's funny you bring up the, like, getting out of high school, because it feels like forever ago now, but, like, it was only like 2.5, 3 years ago for me, and I remember my thought going out of high school was, I'm not doing university, I'm not doing any of that stuff, I hate it, I hate school, I'm just gonna go and do music or whatever, and just, like, work a crappy job and play in bands and tour around and stuff. And then shortly after that, I realized that, boy, I hate working in retail. Boy, I just hate it. I hate it so much.
It is a pain. It is a very big struggle.
Yeah, and so I worked at Staples for a couple months, almost a couple years actually. Now I'm thinking about it, and I just, like, I hated it so much. I'm like, all right, I have to go to school. I can't keep doing this for the rest of my life. I can do music and stuff on the side, but, like, I'm not working in retail anymore, and it was around that time where I started getting into YouTube and movies and music videos and kind of like all this kind of digital products, I guess,
Right.
and like the whole industry of, and then being Vancouver so close by, and that's just it's booming right now.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, well, I guess digital media is a pretty interesting thing. It kind of includes all of that, and so I decided on going and doing that, and I'm in my second year now, and God, it's awesome.
Yeah, you like it?
It's awesome. Yeah, it's everything I wanted, and probably a bit that I didn't want, but that's just university. So
Of course, right? Like no one, not I don't really know anyone who's excited about going to school. So
Yeah.
they're all excited about the end game. You know, like finding that job that's gonna take them where they want to go.
yeah, and it's also the funny thing about my program is I'll talk to people during exam week, and they're just like freaking out, and they're just like crunching, and like they got like essays and exams and all this stuff, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I gotta record some music, and I gotta film a video for a minute and a half and then edit it. Like those are my exams, those are my
But I mean,
essays, and
to be honest, making the right edit video is super hard. Like you gotta find the right angles, the picture.
yeah.
Like it's
it sounds easy like on paper, like, oh, I'm just gonna film this for a minute and a half and I'll figure it out, but it's like that minute and a half is actually like 4 hours of prep and
Yep.
and 3 hours of editing and all the stuff in between, and you're just like, man, this does kind of qualify as like a 1,200 word essay or whatever it needs to be for whatever other programs, but
for sure.
I enjoy it, so.
That's good. That's good. So like, how long's your program?
It's actually a 4-year program.
4 years. Okay.
And the first bit of it is just kind of getting a basics down for like video editing and sound recording and
Right.
sound editing, and then there's like the whole media studies bit of it, which is like analyzing different media, like what about this movie makes it so good, and it's not just like I liked it, it's like what about like the film angles and the color and like the decoration and the character building, and like so it actually just makes watching movies a lot more fun in my opinion, even though some people may disagree that when you have that kind of angle on a movie that it ruins it, like it takes away all that magic, but for me it's like that's the stuff that makes it magical is
Right.
all that production aspects and
Okay.
the whole just the technical side of movies, film, all that kind of stuff is really what gets me going, I guess.
It is really cool. So then like, for work, where do you go looking after? Like, do you just kind of apply at like studios or?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the spot right now where I'm second year in, so I still got 2 years left to go, and then I have the option to do like a master's program somewhere else
Okay.
because I'm Aboriginal, so I had to go through the whole process and the steps to getting my school funding for, and so I have a really good opportunity to, if I just don't stop doing school, it will just continue to have benefits for me. 'Cause
Right.
financially, I can't afford this on my own, but if I wanted to go get my master's program right after, then that's not impossible for me.
Okay.
So right now I'm looking at if that's something I want to do, which could be another 2 to 3, 4 years of school, and then I could do some really cool things. But at the moment I'm kind of leaning towards sound design.
Okay.
Working with preferably non-live action sound, because I find live action stuff like your traditional movies and TV shows, you're really limited with what sound you can produce and what already exists, whereas in like animation or cartoons or video games you get like infinite possibilities. You don't have to abide by any rules of sound or physics or anything. So
Right.
that's what I want to do, is basically just have an opportunity to be as creative as I want within like the proper context, obviously.
Of course, right? Yeah. You don't want to have like the random sounds that would break the wall in the movie or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's such a fine art that I'm only kind of scratching the surface of like, I don't know, it's different when you after you take those kind of courses and programs and get that insight on how movies are done or whatever media.
Mm-hmm.
and then like going and experiencing that media, and you start to realize like, oh, that's like that one trick that guy did. And like a really interesting example of this is like the Indiana Jones films. He's got his little pistol or whatever throughout the films, and like it was recorded like the gunshots after like a huge hunting rifle, like.
Oh really?
Or like, yeah, it's like, which makes no sense like when you think about like
Yeah.
a little pistol making this huge sound, but when you're watching the movie, it's like you don't even care because it just sounds badass. Or another classic one I think of is in that movie with the giant boulder rolling down. The sound guys actually went out to a mountain and were just pushing boulders down the cliff and like trying to get this sound, and they just couldn't get this sound until they were driving down the mountain. For whatever reason, the sound guy was like listening, and he was like, hold on, just throw the car in neutral, let me mic up the back tire real quick, and I think this is the sound. And that's the sound that's in the movie. It's just like the back tire of a car rolling down, like just coasting down a mountain, and that's the boulder sound. And it's like stuff like that is what like blows my mind. It's like I want to be able to do that. I want to figure out those little tricks to make people think that they're hearing something that they're clearly not.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just exactly stuff like that what made me really fall in love with just kind of media in general, and especially modern media, like the stuff you see on YouTube or Netflix or like any of those streaming services. Is like it may not be the best quality content, but like the production value in a lot of that stuff is really good, just because that technology is so accessible now as
For
well.
sure.
Like if you wanted to make a full-length movie, you probably could with like your phone and like a laptop, and like it might not be the most stunning visually, but
you could do it.
you can do it.
Absolutely.
And it'll look real good, and you can probably enter it in for some couple awards here or there, and you never know. Like that's the crazy thing about like this whole industry right now is it's growing so fast and so unpredictably, and like you never know, like something like this could like take off like overnight, and you're just like, whoa, like
Yeah, exactly.
now I gotta start doing this all the time. And
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like a full-time job.
Yeah.
And like that would be, those kinds of things would be like, they're awesome.
yeah,
They're like they're the kind of stories that make you believe that it could still happen to you someday, and like that alone for me is enough to hold on.
yeah, absolutely. And the way I always think about that is like it just depends on how much you like measure success or how successful you want to be. Like I went down and like sat down and when I was still in high school, like crunched the numbers. Like if I was a musician, how much would I need to make at every show, and how often would I need to play like live venues? And like realistically, you don't need to sell out like Rogers Arena every night to survive as a musician. You can play like local shows and you still survive. Or you could be a YouTuber with, you could probably get by with like, a solid amount, just like 10,000 subscribers or something.
For sure.
You could probably get by pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
And in the grand scale of success on YouTube, you almost wouldn't even like think of that as success in some people's eyes, where there's people with like 10 million subscribers.
Yeah, I was gonna say comparing yourself to like the high end people like PewDiePie
Yeah.
or like Kind of Funny and people like that. When their success is they're skyrocketing, they're phenomenal, but they're doing something right, or they did it at the right time. For like but like you can measure success any way you want. So I mean, if you feel like you made it at 10,000 subscribers at a constant basis, and you're able to live and survive comfortably, then that's awesome.
That to me is success right there. Like
Totally.
that's the dream. Like that is the dream. Like as long as you can like survive comfortably doing whatever you want to do, and like that to me, that's like that's the goal. That's the end game right there.
Yeah, and like there's nothing better than waking up and like doing something you really enjoy doing. I know, like from the olden days, it's like you grow up, you get a job, and then you work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, and then and you wait till you retire, and then you do nothing until you die.
Yeah.
But I notice, like in today's society, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to do this. They want to. They just want to say fuck 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And they want to do. They want to be more. They want to do a lot more with their life than just work.
Oh yeah, I think it's a really awesome thing, because I'm the kind of guy that's like, I don't want to be part of the system. Fuck that. Like I don't know. I don't want to do that. So seeing all these people now who are doing exactly that, like, I don't want to work for a big film corporation because I can just go make my own films for really affordably, and like that's how you get like a lot of, at least that's how I think a lot of YouTubers kind of start. The one that's come to mind is Corridor Digital, I think, or like Rocket Jump, which used to be Freddie Wong, I guess. Like those guys, I'm sure like they want to do like big movie productions, but realistically, you can be really successful just making 5 to 10 minute video clips on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely.
Of whatever you want. No one's going to tell you otherwise, and no one's going to tell you it's going to fail because you just got to put it up, and chances are it's going to do something. Like,
yeah, like it's gonna, like, whether you share it on Facebook or Instagram, like, it's gonna be seen by someone.
Yeah.
And then if it's seen by the right person, say for example they have so many followers or whatever, then their followers will see it, and like literally it's just an overnight thing. And then
yeah, no, it's I know a buddy of mine who actually lives here in Lanceville named
Bryce.
Bryce.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he shared his car got totally screwed over, and he shared the video, and then the next day I saw it like on some crazy like 700,000 liked like motor page or whatever, and it's got like 70,000 views, and I'm like, I bet he's getting none of the profit from that, but like he's probably just stoked his videos getting shared that much and turning into a thing. So
absolutely, like, I mean, like, yeah, it's, I mean, hopefully, I mean, they hopefully got the recognition, but
yeah, I think I did see like a little like video courtesy of Bryce or whatever, but that's also like the weird thing about media nowadays is you don't even need to create it, you just need to find it before anyone else does and share it.
Yeah.
And maybe put some text over it, and like you've got like 50 million views right there. It's ridiculous. It's not even something you film. You just have to stumble upon it.
Yeah. Like, it's just somebody who thought this was funny or this was stupid, and then you saw it had like 10 views, and then you're just like, all right, this is awesome. Let's make it better.
The weird thing for me too, also on Facebook, is like all the security footage videos. I'm just like, where did they get this footage? And like, that's awesome, but like, how did they get that footage, and why is it on internet? And like, how did it, like, it's, or like really old videos like that were clearly filmed on like a VHS or something. Like, how are these relevant? Like, these are just like little memories of someone's life that no one like never thought of anything else, and now they're here blowing up on the internet. Like, it's another just really weird phenomenon, I guess, of the weirdness of the internet.
It's very true.
But I was gonna say before we started recording, we know each other from like Lucas and.
Yeah.
Did you go to the same high school as us as well?
I went to Dover when I was in grade 11.
Okay, so yeah, we've come in contact probably a couple times then.
Yep.
And we were talking a little bit about like recording video, not necessarily video, but audio or whatever. Do little recordings when we're hanging out with our friends, getting drunk and stuff, and I was gonna say funny kind of little thing I was telling our buddy Jamie, who's in Southeast Asia with Lucas right now.
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, I know you're gonna have like, you're in Southeast Asia, you gotta have a couple crazy nights, so just do me this favor, and trust me, you're not gonna regret it. One night, just like put your phone in like your pocket and just hit like record on your video and record the entire night, because if there's anything I'd be more interested in seeing on their entire trip, it's just what that video would look like.
Right.
Like that, just one night of like, here it is, all just uncut, uncensored, like this is the madness of it all, and that's all I would need to hear from their trip. Like, but I'm also not the kind of guy who like listens to people talk about like their trips and stuff. Like, I like hearing the gist of it, and then like, I know you'll have a lot of stories, but you know, let's just hear the quickies, you know, the quick classics.
Yeah, let's hear the things you're gonna tell us over and over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very exciting. It's gonna be cool to have him come back. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I'm actually really excited to hear from him come back, just to be able to play Fortnite with him again.
Right.
Were you did you get him on that?
No, but he tried to get me onto it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm like, I'm not interested. Like.
Yeah.
And then my one buddy's like, you gotta download it. You're downloading it tonight. And I downloaded it. I'm like, wow, this game actually isn't as bad as I thought. And now like I'm super into it.
Yeah.
And they're doing everything right. Like, I love that it's free. I love that the entire game is going to eventually become free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like it's just great. Like I didn't expect to be taken by it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I had seen like gameplay of it like when it was kind of like first really getting its footing, like after the whole like big PUBG thing.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing like, oh, there's this Fortnite that's coming out. And it's kind of like it, but it's got building in it, and it's kind of a little more cartoony, but it's free. And I'm like, well, if it's free, it's gotta be, if it's like PUBG and it's free, I may as well give it a try.
Right.
And I gave it a try, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so much fun. Like, why is everyone not playing this? And I was like, I texted Lucas like, hey man, you gotta download like Fortnite. Like it's like PUBG, but like it's free and it's like a little more fast paced. And he's like, I don't know, man. Like I'm already playing like Battlefield 2 or whatever. Like I'm like, all right, man. Like, or I guess it was Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Battlefield 2. And he was doing that, and then I managed to get one of our other buddies on there, and he was actually the one I think eventually convinced Lucas to download it. And like I remember like, I told you, man, you gotta download this stuff. And I started playing, I'm really big into Destiny and Destiny 2, and I was playing that for a good amount of time before it kind of died out. And I managed to meet a couple buddies on there, and we've been playing Fortnite like non-stop recently. And goddamn, it's just so much fun. I love like the fact they continuously update the game like every 2 weeks with something that is like worth checking out, and it's free. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll keep playing this game. And we've managed to, in the past couple days, we've got like 5 W's. So I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'm like, all right, I'm finally getting good at a game again. It feels good.
Yeah, that was getting a victory royale in that game is so satisfying. Mm-hmm. Like, I've never got a solo, but I don't play solo too often.
Yeah.
I do prefer to play like with friends.
Yeah.
And but I love that it's like every couple weeks there's a new game mode.
Yeah.
Like right now they have like a big team battle kind of thing.
Yeah, the 5 teams of 20, which is really fun too. Yeah, it's funny about that game, and I never played PUBG because I'm not really a PC guy.
I'm not either.
So yeah, I just never really got into it. I don't have an Xbox. So Fortnite was like the only option, and yeah, getting W's in that game is so. It's almost I don't know how hard it is compared to PUBG, but I imagine it's gotta be pretty.
I would think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, if anything, I think it's almost harder because you have the whole building aspect, like.
True, because you start shooting at someone, and then all of a sudden they have a tower, and if you're not building, they have the high ground. You're hooped, right?
Yeah. And then there's a whole aspect of like, well, if they have their base, you can just kind of sneak up on them and build up to their base anyway. So like, you're never really in a position where you're that safe, or like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything can be shot down, and like. I don't know. I don't know if PUBG's destructible like that, like the world, but that's what I really like about Fortnite is like someone behind that house will just blow up the house. Like
exactly right. Like there's
what's worse that's gonna happen, and I can't play that game solo. Like I get way too frustrated. I'm like I need someone else to like keep me sane, like
right?
Someone just to watch my back, or like the feeling that you just like. You get sniped or something and you're just instantly out. I'm like, damn. But if you're in duos, you can have someone pick you up.
Yeah.
You can play a little bit longer. You can kind of get those clutch little saves on, you're in the middle of one team fight and then another team shows up and you're just like, oh my god, and you're just trying to shoot at one guy but you can't.
Yeah, because then you have to worry about everybody else around you. It's really chaotic, and I like that because and I really like how you don't have to sit and watch the whole game. No. Like, you're in and out, and then you're back playing again in, like, 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed because I never played PUBG, but I had always heard it's a fun game if you're willing to wait, like, between the actual gameplay part of it.
Yeah.
And I was never really that huge on that idea, but then Fortnite, it was just like, you die, you just jump back in the game, and it automatically fills up the lobby so fast, and, like, you're literally, like, dead and in a game within like a minute. Like it's crazy. And
it is, and it's awesome. Like I like how I really like how you can build things differently. Like you can change the stairs, or you can do.
That's another cool thing is the whole editing aspect that I am just so bad at. Unless it's like.
I can take my time.
Yeah, it's like okay, press circle and then X here and there, and then pull the trigger and it doesn't work, and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think I did it wrong, but I don't know. But I can get a door up sometimes, which I'm pretty proud of. But other than that, I have no idea how anything else works in that game.
One of the more tedious things for building for me is like when you go to build.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you go to throw up a wall, all of a sudden the wall's, like, this freaking high on the ground. I'm like, why is this like this?
Yeah, and just, like, it needs to be up here.
Higher. Yeah, like, I need to be higher.
Yeah, or it's facing the wrong way, and you're like, I don't need that right there. And
yeah, and then you're just like, it just always comes at the time you're being shot at.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'm making this work.
Just build everything everywhere and just hope that the bullets don't hit me, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love the feeling of that, though. I love that kind of chaoticness of it. Like, you just really don't know, and... It's funny because I'm one of the only few people I know who ever really played Destiny 1 throughout its entire lifespan.
All right.
Because a lot of people just stopped giving a crap about that game like 2 days after it came out, which is fine and justifiable because it really wasn't that great. But then Destiny 2 came, and that game, was a bit of a heartbreaker. But and so I kind of haven't really been playing a whole lot of games until Fortnite really became prominent, and I've just started playing. I was playing The Division a little bit when it kind of got better.
I love that game.
Yeah, I think I'm on like the very last level. I just haven't gone around to beating it for some reason.
The sequel was announced.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that a little bit about that.
But playing that game, like I played the beta. I was like very lukewarm. I'm like I love the idea of the PvP, how you can beat friends or not.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is great, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, I need to have this today.
Yeah.
And then it was on sale, and me and my buddy were just like, let's pick it up.
Yeah.
So we picked it up, and it was me, a buddy, another guy, and we were just like, this is awesome.
Yeah. No,
and they improved it so much.
Yeah, that's one thing. Is again because Destiny kind of died out at the beginning of this year, end of last year, and that was one game that I been hearing so much about as like, hey, this game's coming back. So you may as well pick it up because it's been out for like 3 years and it's got to be like $25 by now or something. So I went and picked it up, and my buddy was really into it, who I've been playing Destiny with, and so we played it, and we played through all the way up to the very last mission, and
nice.
then we started playing Fortnite a lot again, and I just picked up Rainbow Six Siege.
Nice, I hear that. I have mutual like feelings on that game. Like they have like a free weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Played it, and it would be awesome because we'd play a game and it'd be great.
Yeah.
Then as soon as we tried to go for another game, the matchmaking at the time, I think the matchmaking was kind of bugged.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't find us a game, and we were just like, okay, I can't justify it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it definitely, I remember that. Like, that's again the only reason why I picked up recently is because I heard it had been fixed, and like it's pretty cheap, so I was like, yeah, why not? And I'm really a first-person shooter guy when it comes down to it, which Fortnite's kind of a nice little change of pace for that, and so is The Division because you're third person and a little more different gameplay. But then I still need that first person shooter fix that I had with like Destiny, and so Rainbow Six Siege seemed like the only actual option out of the games right now that seemed to make sense, because I feel like Call of Duty is a little too much run and gun. I don't even know of another I can't even think of another decent first-person shooter right now that's out. I guess Star Wars, but and Battlefield, but those also feel like kind of run and gun games.
They're a little more slower paced compared to Call of Duty, but they're
not like Rainbow Six, where it's like you're trying to tactically get into this building and do whatever little mission you need, which I really like, and you got all the different characters and their different perks and different guns, so it feels kind of Overwatchy like that.
Yeah.
And a little Destiny like, and I tried getting Overwatch as well, but I just never really had the budget for that game because it never went on sale.
And then when it is always like full price, it seems like.
I don't know why. It's like I've been watching it. I've been waiting for it, and I think it was like 35% off a little while ago, but it was still like $33, and I'm like, I can get Rainbow Six for like $12. Like,
yeah.
Why is this game still so much money? But I guess it's still a good game.
It's still super popular, I believe.
Yeah, so. But that's a game I wouldn't mind trying out a little bit more. For the moment, it's Fortnite and Rainbow Six.
Nice.
And it's been good. It's been a little bit of a change of pace, considering I used to play, again, like, I only played Destiny
Right.
1 for the 3 years it was out. Like, that was the only game I played.
That's awesome.
And so now it's like, I'm kind of waiting for the second one to get fixed, and it's getting there slowly. Probably better in September than you, but...
Yeah, but you play music.
Yeah.
So what kind of, like, what instrument do you play?
Primarily guitar, bass, and drums at the moment.
Okay.
And that's just because I feel like if you play guitar, you kind of have to... I started on bass because there was no bass players ever around, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I eventually picked up the guitar and then the drums. And it's just because they were all available to me. Like, my parents aren't musical, but my brothers are, so we always had a guitar or a bass. And then eventually my little brother got the drum kit. And so, yeah, we pretty musical household, considering it's just me and my brother who live there. Well, with my parents, I guess.
Yeah.
It still gets really loud in there sometimes.
I bet.
And, music-wise, I've been a little bit on the kind of quiet side just because I've been focusing on a lot of school and kind of trying to get my own ambitions sorted out a little bit more.
Right.
I still do music as often as I can. I have my guitar and a bass sitting beside my bed that I pick up while I'm watching YouTube videos or while I'm playing video games between matches. I'll just strum a little bit and kind of it scratches the itch a little bit. But man, having seen like a couple live concerts, and I probably go to way too many live concerts in general, but like every time I go, it's like, man, I need to be in a band again. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Like I need to drop everything, find like 4 dudes, and like just hit the road with like some music. But it's a little difficult in Nanaimo to find the kind of musicians that want to play the same music as you and who don't play the same instrument as you.
Right.
And I have a really kind of weird approach to music. I like kind of a little more out there music, so it's really tough to find other people who want to do that kind of non-traditional style of music. And
what kind of music do you like to play?
I'm trying really hard to learn like how to do like math rock stuff, which is like basically really fast punk jazz, I guess, if you like kind of think about it. Like it's a lot of notes and a lot of really quick time signatures that switch time signatures a lot.
Right.
But I'm trying to I'm not really like a fast punk guy all the time. I like kind of a little bit slower music, so it's a little more on the indie side, I guess, but with like some weird kind of little diddles and daddles in the middle throughout, and it's fun music to play. It's just difficult to find people who are willing to play it, just because there's a real learning curve to it.
Okay.
It's not like you can just kind of know how to play guitar or bass and then sit down and start playing this kind of music.
Right.
Not that it's any more difficult than like being like an expert jazz player or anything. Like it's just not a very common type of music to learn, I guess, how to play.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of a little more difficult to find people who want to do that, but then also find people who want to like actually go see that performed, I feel like isn't probably the easiest thing, because I'm sure most people, when they go out in Nanaimo and go see a band, they go to like the Queens or the Vault or the Canby to see either a metal band, a blues band, or a cover band.
Right.
Which is, great and dandy for those guys doing their thing, but for the guys like the very few guys and gals like me, we don't really have a space that's consistently occupied by people who want to hear the same music.
Okay.
There is like venues like Koryzma Mountain, which is like a kind of an artsy venue, but they're almost a little too weird for me, and not that being too weird's a bad thing or anything, but it's just like I like to keep things a little dialed back.
Okay.
A little more accessible to all audiences. Whereas the stuff there, I think, is really, really artsy, really kind of hipster, punk kind of stuff, which is great, which is awesome. It's a great space, great people, but it's not totally up my alley, I guess.
Okay.
Which is sad, because I think Nanaimo would be a really good place for more live music and more just industry for like entertainment and media, because we're right next to Vancouver. We're right up from Victoria. Like, we're kind of in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like, other than like, I think there's like one TV show that's sometimes filmed here on the island that I hear is really not a good TV show, but it's filmed here on the island. But
So it's something.
it's something. But like, man, I would love to be able to have like $2,000 to go rent a cabin out in the woods and film like a movie or a short movie story, I guess, the kind of thing. Because we just have so much good.
There's a lot of good locations
There's
here.
a lot of really good locations. Like, anytime I drive anywhere on the island, I'm constantly looking out the window like, that's a good film. That's a spot right there. There's something can be shot there, and it would look awesome. And I think a lot of that goes for kind of music and production here in the city, where it's just so lacking in variety. And even Nanaimo on its own there's some decent locations within the city for productions, and like, it's not like we don't have the space, and we don't have like, I'm sure if like production companies came here, they'd love it. It's quiet enough, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, we usually, not a lot of people, like, there's usually, like, when things are here, I only ever hear about them, I never have actually seen them, so
Yeah.
it's like, I feel like you could get away with it pretty low-key, or
Yeah.
if you had to, you could like, control the crowd, like, no one's gonna start running for anyone, like, we're not riding, like Vancouver in 2010, like, we're
no.
pretty laid-back people, because it's like, it used to be a retirement island.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it was, right?
Yeah. And it's I think the young people are definitely bringing a lot of life here. Like, that's one thing I've noticed is the young people, the people in their 20s and younger are all really, really passionate about the community.
Yeah.
I guess maybe more in the south end than the north end, because the north end is kind of just full of retirement places. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like there's a little bit of wasted potential in this town. I feel like there's a lot of really cool people, a lot of really cool ideas floating around, just a lot of really cool potential, and it's just, I don't know, it just feels like we're all just kind of sitting here like waiting for something, but no one's really sure what that something is, and no one's really sure when it's going to happen. But like, at least that's how I feel. I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm either waiting for my school to wrap up, or I'm waiting for one thing to finish so I can go somewhere else to do something, because I don't have the resources or the accessibility here to do it.
Right.
Which is kind of again, a crappy thing, but I mean, it's not too bad because Vancouver's right over there. Seattle's not that far away. We're on the West Coast, so I mean, if you really want to go to LA, it's not
like overly far.
It's not impossible. Even places like Portland, which I hadn't known very little about, kind of before the last couple of years, and being there and talking to like people there, we're all like, man, the growth in this city in like the past 4 years is ridiculous. Like, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Like, and then I started thinking about it a little bit more. Like, the growth in Nanaimo in the past 4 years is like, it's kind of getting there.
There's a lot of land. There's like everything's booming right now in terms of construction. Like, it seems like Nanaimo is growing.
Yeah, and the weirdest, and it's funny you mention that, because the weirdest thing is I have a buddy who lives a couple blocks up the street, and so I used to visit him a lot, and I used to drive that one road, I guess, right there.
Yep.
And I thought it was always full of like a nice little like kind of shrubbery and forest, and then I drove there today. I'm like, it's all just clear cut.
It's all gone. Yeah.
It's all gone, and I'm like, why? Like, Jesus! Like, how did this how did I miss this? Like, and like, it's the same even just driving around Nanaimo. I'm like, where did this roundabout come from? Where did this building get torn down? Like, what is happening? And like. And I realized it. I guess it's just the West Coast is booming right now for some reason, and I guess Nanaimo's definitely getting a little part of that, and I hope it draws some attention from Vancouver media wise and
Yeah, that'd be good.
production wise, which would be awesome. Yeah, I guess that's. I used to be part of the Youth Advisory Council of Nanaimo, I guess is what it was called. It was like a little council of 12 students, I guess, at the time, from like post-secondary and high school, and we were just like the advisory council for the mayor, but from like a youth perspective.
Okay.
Because I guess the city finally realized that there's a lot of youth people who are very passionate about their community. So I was part of that for about a year and a half or so, and that kind of draws back to that wasted potential thing where they could have done so much cool stuff, but they just didn't really do anything. So yeah, that was a bit of a weird time in my life as well, where I decided to be involved with the community.
I mean, it's always cool though. I mean, you kind of get like a more of an inside kind of look, see kind of what's going on.
Yeah, basically, I basically just want to do what I've been saying the past 20 minutes or whatever. It's just that strive for production and music and entertainment and the arts. Like, and Nanaimo's really got nothing going for it other than it's a retirement city, I guess. Or at least that's how I always seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And when really we could do so much more.
Yeah, if you were able to do like a production video or music, what would you want to do? Like, what would be like the number one project that's on your mind right now?
I've had this idea of like a short horror kind of spooky video.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it could be a music video. Like, it definitely could be short enough to be a music video, but it could also be long enough to be, 15, 20 minutes long. And just basically kind of like a story of blending dreams and reality and kind of like nightmares in there too. And I like to kind of keep things simple but abstract, that it's not exactly clear what things mean or not exactly clear what's happening. And so I have a lot of really interesting ideas on how to make a little video of something like kind of like that, where ideally what I want to do was have it filmed from different perspectives, but not any traditional perspectives. Like, the entire thing's filmed from like different places around the room or around the area, but not like on a tripod. Like, it's just sitting, like the camera's sitting on like a shelf, or like from the like different perspectives in the room, to kind of give it a little less of a traditional feel, where you don't have the full picture, but you can kind of make out what's going on a little bit.
Right.
And then I always find fixed cameras like that always make a lot of really interesting tension for kind of horror, spooky stuff. And I'm really interested in like psychological thrillers, so I guess that's kind of where it all comes from.
So kind of like a Shutter Island kind of vibe?
Yeah, probably a little more in that. It's funny because I love horror and thriller content, but I hate watching horror movies and thriller movies. Like, I hate it so much. And so to kind of get my itch, I've just started reading a lot of kind of more freaky stuff.
Okay.
Notably, on like the last 20 pages of the Necronomicon, which is like Book of the Dead kind of thing.
Okay.
It was originally done by like H.P. Lovecraft, and it's got a couple different versions. And are you familiar with like Cthulhu, like the giant squid monster looking thing? It's got like squid face and man body, dragon wings kind of thing.
I'm not, but that sounds very interesting.
It's pretty freaky. It's a pretty freaky looking, like devil, evil monster, demon kind of thing. But basically the book is just trying to tie together all these different kind of lore fictions of different writers and like how it came to be. And Cthulhu's kind of one of the main characters that it's trying to explain, I guess.
Right.
And it's all about like the cosmic energies in the universe and like evil and good and like just like stories from before our universe was created and how it all kind of came to be. And so it was really kind of messed up, weird book of rituals, how to summon demons and gods and what to do not to upset them and all that stuff. And so I read that, and that's where I've been finding a lot of inspiration recently. And I've also picked up the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
Which is like this huge, beautiful blue kind of silk covered book, and it's just full of really messed up horror stories as well, which is also kind of what I'm I'd like to be able to do stuff with monsters in my videos without having it feel, cheesy.
Oh, for sure.
I always feel like that's the case with monster movies or anything like that. It's like, how do you just keep it from being so cheesy, and like, how do you just keep people from laughing as soon as they see the monster kind of thing? So I'm trying to figure out how to work with using like darkness and like shadows and kind of non-traditional figures and monsters, I guess, to get around that.
Okay.
But then, that's the ideal. That's the idea of being able to do spooky stuff, but then, logistically, it's pretty hard to do by yourself or with very few people who want to do that same kind of thing. And so I'm kind of in the kind of point where this is stuff I think I could do realistically on an affordable budget of like my phone and a laptop kind of idea. But it's finding people that want to do that as well and take time out of their day, not get paid, and to put something together that maybe 20 people will see on YouTube, or it could go the other way, 20,000 people see it.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of in the position now where I'm like, all right, if I seriously want to do this, I should probably just kick myself in the ass a couple times and get to it. So I've done some writing for different ideas.
Oh, awesome.
Because I was in a writing class last semester, so I just kind of used that as an excuse to write a bunch of scripts.
Okay.
So I got a bunch of ideas floating around, and I'm just kind of like, just trying to kick myself in the ass and figure it out.
Hey man, I believe you can make it happen.
Thank you.
It'll be, and next thing you know, you'll be like the next Max Landis. You'll be writing scripts and killing it.
I'd hope so. Or even like J.J. Abrams is a bit of an inspiration for me, because
awesome.
That guy kind of just, I think he's at a point now where he can just basically do whatever he wants and people are going to like buy it. At least that's how I'm feeling. Like,
that's kind of like I feel like it's the same thing with him and like Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Or he's more of a director though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Steven Spielberg is more of the director.
Yeah, so my bad there, but I mean, if get the idea though, if he's interested in the project, they'll just let you do it.
You do it. We trust you enough, and the more I read about that guy, the more interested I am. Like, he had a book that he didn't write; he just conceptualized it. He was basically like, I have this idea for a book. Here, writing team, go do it. Like, and they did it, and it was a book that's your traditional book, just whatever story.
Right.
But the actual like plot of the book happens between like two characters who rented out this book in like a library. So they're like, there's notes along the side, and like there's like little code, and like there's like cutout newspaper and postcards all within this book.
Oh, cool.
And so you can read the entire book and not read any of that stuff, and you'll just get whatever story the book is. But then you get all that option of like to read all this additional stuff, which is the actual what J.J. Abrams wanted this book to be and the story it wanted to tell. So like hearing stuff like that just makes me like more inspired to kind of like get in that position and aim for that goal of just being like, I can do whatever I want, and like people are going to understand it to some extent, or they're going to participate in it, or they're at least going to just appreciate it. I haven't read that book because I don't have enough. I'm already kind of occupied enough as it is, but like I still appreciate that more than like probably your average director or writer, like just saying they directed or wrote some movie. It's like, oh, that's cool, but like what else do you do?
Yeah.
It only goes so far. Your creativity, if you limit it to just movies or just film, then you're kind of...
You're definitely limiting yourself, because it's like you could do like even like a chapter in a book, or you could do like a TV show. I mean, I know it's kind of film, but I mean, you could also do...
Or, I'm pretty sure he just did the Cloverfield Paradox.
Okay, yep.
Which was an alright movie. It was I preferred the other Cloverfield Lane to it, but doing stuff like that where he just like announced, like they just announced it during the Super Bowl, and they're like, it's going to be up on Netflix like right after this. Like, the balls to do that kind of stuff.
it's awesome.
That's it to me. Yeah, exactly. It's like
There's no, you didn't build any hype for it. You didn't do anything besides here's a trailer.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
Yeah, 30 seconds. It's available in an hour and a half. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
And it sold me. It got me instantly. I was so stoked about it. And even though the movie was all right, I still appreciated the movie and I still enjoyed it. And but just that on its own, like stuff like that, or when Bethesda did the Fallout 4 announcement, and like
that was awesome.
Here's Fallout Shelter, like available now. Like that's to me like how you really make a good name for yourself in those kind of industries.
For sure.
That's how you get my respect, at least. Like,
and you just you take a risk.
Exactly, you take a risk, and I think with those kind of production studios and Bethesda and J.J. Abrams, they're kind of in a position where they can take those risks and they're going to pay off. And so I think that's just, again, that's another one of those goals I like to set for myself.
That's cool. That's good. It's good to see you have goals, and it's awesome. Like, it's like now you have the goals, now you can figure out what steps you need to take to get towards those goals.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it's a bit of a tricky learning curve, which I feel like everything is nowadays, even though you expect it not to be that tricky, but it ends up being pretty tricky, is just that learning curve of figuring out, like, what are those steps? Like that's always going to be, like, my downfall is, like, I'll figure out those steps, but then, like, actually going and putting the work into doing them is, it's like, it's almost a little overwhelming, because once you start a project, you're like, well, now if I start it and I don't finish it, I'm a failure, and I'm just going to, like, think lowly of myself and think poorly of what I've done. But then there's also the other side of it, is if you kick yourself in the ass enough and you start it, then you're determined to finish it. Like, you started this, you gotta man up, you gotta, put your big boots on and get it done.
Yeah, I find that it's a lot of things. There's like huge psychological barrier. Like, it's a lot of things. Like, I used to go to the air house and I really wanted to attempt a double backflip, but I was very hard. Like, essentially any trick. Yeah. Super hard to, like. You can jump, but it's like you can't just half-ass the trick. No. You gotta commit. If you commit and then you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Even if you, like, make a mistake, to say during, like, the production, you can be like, okay, we can fix this, or you can make it work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it really is. Yeah, just but kind of. I think for me, it's always, I don't want to start something if I feel like I have that hesitation on it. If I feel like any kind of, like, oh man, maybe this isn't the best. Usually I'll put it aside, I'll sleep on it, and I'll kind of try to come back to it. Because the last thing I want to do is start something and feel like you can't finish it because it's not letting you finish it, or if it's just like it's just not happening. Like,
right.
That to me is always my fear of, like, I'm gonna put 10 hours into something. I'm gonna get halfway through it and then realize this is nothing I want it to be like. And that, I guess that is just part of that learning curve and getting through those growing steps and figuring out, like, what it is exactly you need to do to get what you want production wise.
For sure.
It's scary. It's, even though it's like it's so easy and literally no one else will see it, like,
yeah, like, it's, you can edit it, you can do it, you can be like, you can show one person, or you don't even have to show anyone. But at least if you did this project, you completed it, and you're like, okay, I liked this portion of this, but I don't like the turn it took. Yeah. What can I do to fix it? What step can... So it's like sometimes the steps are too big to take all at once. You have to find the little steps to climb it.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. And that's something I think it can be applied to just about anything, because I've done that with music, where I write songs and I'll record them, write them, finish them up, and I'll sit back and listen. I'm like, oh, that's just not good. It's just not working. And then, as much as I want to always hit just delete and clear it, I never do. I always, like, I'll just save it as attempt 1 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And then I'll go back, and when I feel like I want to finish or retry that project, I go back and I listen to it, or I'll watch whatever I have, or just go over whatever I have, and, like, what in here worked, what didn't, what can I take to do it, what can I use from this that would make sense in other projects, what would make sense in like the reimagination of this project, like, and that's part of the fun of it for me too, which is kind of funny because now I feel like I'm contradicting myself but a little bit, but it is fun when you're at that step and like you're content with being at that step, because I find it's a bit of like when you first get that step you're just like, god damn it, like this sucks, like I don't want to do this anymore, but then once you get content with it you're like, all right, now let's figure this out, like
exactly.
at that point I think it's really fun, and you can kind of have a building blocks to be really creative after that.
Absolutely. That's really cool, and it's super inspiring. It's nice to see, like, people around here still trying to, take it to that bit further, so they're not just living the plain Jane life,
Exactly, and I think again ties back to that wasted potential in the area in the city, but it's just not me out there. I know there's people in my digital media program who want to create all these really cool things and want to do all these really cool things, but again, we're all so limited by, we gotta pay for schooling, we gotta pay for our car and our gas, and we have to go do our stupid 9-to-5 job and do all this stuff, and you gotta find time to do stuff like this where you can sit down and record, or just any kind of that stuff, and I'd love to be able to do gameplay videos on YouTube. I'd love to be able to stream on Twitch and build a community, but like again, it's just that kind of stuff of like,
so you gotta commit.
Yeah, you gotta commit, because if you're going to start streaming on Twitch, as much as as I think you can do it like casually, like here and there every now and then, but if you want to do it on Twitch, you gotta have like a schedule. You gotta stream like every Tuesday at this time or every Thursday at that time.
Yeah, exactly, right. Like you gotta put the time in, and you gotta be like, okay, I have a million ideas, but I want to focus on this idea right now. Because I find if you spread yourself out, like you're working on like 3 or 4 different projects, you don't actually get anywhere on each of the projects because you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle on each project.
Yeah, and then you end up confusing puzzle pieces and different puzzles, and yeah, totally. Like you just get so, at least that's how I feel. I get really jumbled, and at least that's how I get in school, where I have like 4 projects that need to be done, and I'm just like, all right, so I'm just not going to do any of them, I guess, or like I'm going to do this for Ben, like.
Yeah, there's just too much on the plate, and then it's hard to clear the plate because you don't know where to start.
Yeah, and that being said, I do think it's not a bad idea to take a little bit of creative breaks from projects and work on something else a little bit, but to
kind of reboot your brain.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're in like crunch time and like you got 4 things due, or you got 4 things on the go, and you want to get it all out, and you're setting goals for yourself, and sometimes that's a little more harmful than it is productive. At least again, that's just how I feel sometimes when I'm in school, and I want to do my own personal stuff, but I want to do stuff for school, and then I still got to do stuff for more school, and it's tough, and I'm kind of struggling with that a little bit, of finding enough time to do my own personal stuff and kicking myself in the ass enough to get on that and do it. So I'm hoping this summer I can finally get off my ass a little bit and
for sure
get some stuff done, especially with the sun coming out again. So
it's nice.
It's funny how much I've noticed how much the weather affects me now that I've grown up a little bit. Like, god damn, I'm tired of the rain and the cold. I don't want it anymore, man. I'm done with it.
I'm done.
I want sunny days where I gotta sit on my deck and play the guitar and write some music or read a book in the sun or something. Like,
absolutely.
I'm just tired of the cold, and I feel more inspired in the sun, more energy, more lively, and
for sure, right? Because you're just, it's just like it's the time to do it. Like like when it's raining and cold outside, I don't really want to do much. I just want to like kind of relax and just wait it out. But it's not what you can't do it. You just can't. You gotta push yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting letting those kind of things prevent you from working on stuff, because I always try to find like if I'm supposed to be working on something, like I try to, as much as I should not totally unnaturally force myself, like creative wise.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get some of the best ideas out of that, and at least I've noticed where it's like sometimes you really do just gotta, like, as much as it feels like everything in the universe is telling you not to work on something or not to do something, is when you go and do it, it's like, all right, now I see things a little bit differently, and it's kind of cool. I like the kind of times where I can get inspired enough in situations where I feel like I shouldn't be inspired to do something, because that's usually when I feel like I do some of my best work.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I don't know how long this has gone on for now.
We're just over an hour.
Oh, cool.
But no, I was thinking, we had a good time, and I just wanted to thank you for being like the first guest on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I this is something I wanted to do, podcasts and stuff more often, and just talking with people that I feel like I probably should have had more conversations with at this point. Like, you've known Lucas for a good while now, and I know you know his older brother, and like,
yeah.
I hear he's always talking about you. Like, oh yeah, Brayden was just over, or I'm gonna go hang out with Brayden. I'm like, man, like, seems like a pretty good guy. I don't know why I've never actually had like a conversation with him.
Yeah,
man.
we just have different schedules, man. It's just and it's just the way life is. But I got you on PlayStation. We should play some Fortnite.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm super down for that.
Yeah, man. It's always me and like two other guys. We're always missing a fourth, so we're always like looking for a fourth. And I hate playing solos, so duos are
exactly.
always an option. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you again.
Yeah. No. Great. Yeah. Thanks.
So thanks for watching. That's the first episode of Just Koryzma, and we'll see you again.